that regard. Now let's move on now to environmental questions. And I want to now give you one reason why I think you may have problems around the coast of Africa of illegal activities like piracy. And that is because, to a very large extent, illegal activity has already destroyed a lot of the basis of the life of so many Africans who live near the coasts. So we've heard about the destruction of the mangroves by oil in the Gulf of Guinea. We've heard about the $100 billion lost through illegal fisheries. No wonder the people concerned turn to piracy when it's perhaps the only thing left for them to do. So that's the importance of the environment. It's not just to save the whales. It's not just to save the fish stocks. It's to save sustainable human development around the coasts. So now it's over to Mark Spalding to give us an environmental perspective on this subject. Mark.
Thank you very much, John. And it's great to be back here in Lisbon, as we learned yesterday, the capital of the Atlantic. I want to especially thank Charles Buchanan, João Fonseca Rivera, Isabel Torres de Noronha for inviting me yet again to Lisbon and for the travel support of the Luso-American Development Foundation and the Future Ocean Alliance in order to be here. The Ocean Foundation works with many individual donors, corporate donors, government donors, to basically handle their money for them. We're an intermediary. We handle their philanthropy, all related to our mission, which is to support, strengthen, and promote those organizations dedicated to reversing the trend of destruction of the ocean environment, which John was just referring to, all around the world. In addition to handling money, we host a lot of projects and provide cash, obviously, to grantees. And some of those grantees are in the African continent. Some of them involve the CPLP countries. But here in Europe, and in Portugal in particular, we are fiscal agent for a few nonprofits. Ocean Flag, we have an account for the Luso-American Foundation at the Ocean Foundation, and we host the Future Ocean Alliance. In fact, we co-founded and incorporated the Future Ocean Alliance here in Portugal, which is a global knowledge network that brings together the marine information that we already have and uses innovative informatics to network that knowledge and foster a dialogue between the users and producers of that knowledge to prevent duplication of research efforts and improve governance decision-making. Together with the Future Ocean Alliance, the Luso-American Foundation, the Ocean Foundation is building the Transatlantic Ocean Dialogue. This is a platform intended to bridge the communities on both sides of the Atlantic to promote dialogue and the use of best available knowledge from its producers to ensure the economic, social, and ecological development is changed towards sustainability of the ocean, rather than the history of destruction, again, that John just referred to. To get this Transatlantic Ocean Dialogue started, we're going to work with the U.S. and Portugal on something that is scalable to the North Atlantic so that we have such a forum for decisions in this region using this best available knowledge. The Ocean Foundation has also worked extensively with Client Earth on EU fisheries policy. We've worked extensively with Surfrider International and their Surfrider Europe headquarters in Biarritz. So the Nazaré video we saw at the beginning was certainly part of my background. We're currently advising the University of Kiel's Ocean Excellence Center on coastal and marine spatial planning and how do we address changes due to climate change, ocean acidification, and make it more about integrated management rather than simple static mapping. We manage a ocean investment fund, the first ever publicly traded ocean investment fund, which holds a number of stocks in European companies. We have partnerships with foundations in Europe, MAVA, Oak, Prince Albert II Foundation, Save Our Seas. We work on legal issues related to underwater cultural heritage, and we may even be opening an office in Europe, and I'm quickly being convinced that Portugal is the place to do that. When I looked at the EU action plan for a maritime strategy for the Atlantic, and I got to part 5 of that document, I was very excited. It was the internationalization of the strategy. I then saw
a
that
very
it was,
short paragraph.
I then saw that it was only one paragraph, and that it mentioned collaboration between North America and Europe for a transatlantic research alliance. But it didn't really say how we might accomplish this, and more importantly, perhaps, it doesn't say to what end we would pursue this transatlantic research alliance. We need that to be defined. We need it to be an informed, intelligent collaboration between Europe and North America. And we need to think about, as this panel is suggesting, Africa as well. So I have two suggestions related to this. The first is we need to have this alliance really ramp up improved governance for the Atlantic, using the best available knowledge. We have spent so much time, money, and energy developing data. We're buried in data, but we haven't necessarily transformed that data into information or knowledge that decision makers can use. We've referred a number of times to the Fractured Oceans book and the discussion of illegal activity. You know, we can't have sustainability of our use of natural resources without good governance. Full stop, there is no argument. My second suggestion is that we think about how our research alliance is applied research related to this desire to grow the blue economy. There's a lot of discussion in this conference and others I've been at in Europe about the future, the blue economy. Now, this is not new, but it may be a new buzzword, but it's a buzzword in Europe. It is not a buzzword. It is not a phrase we use in North America. If anything, we're talking about how do we decrease pressure on our ocean resources? How do we eliminate overfishing? How do we eliminate the removal of the good of the ocean? And how do we decrease putting bad things in the ocean? So as we think about the economy as it relates to the ocean, which I do think is where the future is, we need to think about what are those jobs going to look like? How do we invest in entrepreneurship? How do we invest in education and skills development for those jobs? And we traditionally put them into the two categories of traditional maritime industries and these sort of new developing industries. And I think for the traditional maritime industries, we have to think about how do we invest in improvement of those industries so that they become more sustainable, right? The technology for shipping is stuck in the Second World War era. The opportunity for efficiency and improvement of shipping and transport is tremendous. Fishing is a disaster, complete and total disaster globally. We have almost no countries succeeding in preventing overfishing. And so figuring out how we get to do this right is absolutely crucial going forward. There's nothing wrong with fishing. It's just how we have practiced it, how we have governed it, and how we have abjectly failed to enforce. But we have new industries coming online as well, and we need to invest in these for research and development, but also keeping front and center the idea of sustainability. Renewable energy in the ocean, tidal, thermal, underwater currents, wind. We're also talking extensively about authorizing seabed mining. Well, someone yesterday said, well, it may have environmental consequences. No, no, no. It's going to have big environmental consequences, and if we're going to do it, we have to figure out how to do it right. Same thing with biotechnology. Also, aquaculture has surpassed wild-caught fish as our source of fish in the world. How are we going to do that right? How do we do sustainable aquaculture? How do we think about recirculating aquaculture systems that are decentralized and closer to the places where the food is needed and have smaller carbon footprints? How do we look at some of the ancient systems that have been around for thousands of years and stop some of the unsustainable practices that we've seen in aquaculture for salmon or shrimp? I think the transatlantic ocean dialogue that we're working on with the Luso-American Foundation and the Future Ocean Alliance is an example for us to get to this better governance and applied research and get it all started. But both of those activities, better governance and applied research, need money, investment, government support, NGO support, or there will be no implementation of any of them. And both need informed, intelligent collaboration with sustainability put front and center. Otherwise, we will have a temporary bubble blue economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our last speaker now, but first I have to say that Samuel has to leave us to go to the airport. I'd like you to join me in thanking him for having made the trip from Addis Ababa to be with us today, and thanks for your contribution, Samuel. All right, we've just heard about some of the environmental challenges. By the way, Mark, I would take issue with you. I don't think technology of shipping has been stuck for decades. I think it's been changing very rapidly over the last decade or so. On the other ones...
That's true, John, and I acknowledge that, but it's not universally applied.
No, that's absolutely right.